Hello, good evening. We are live actually. We're live on the Facebook and Periscope and YouTube. This is a Gunners Town pub podcast. If anyone's joined us before, we've been sort of starting doing these after games because, you know, we've all got nobody else to speak to. What we have been doing over the last sort of few months since I joined the Gunners Town boys is doing some sort of tactical podcasts and tactical breakdowns on moments in play, on players, etc. And I've been doing these with, firstly, my good friend Mike. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well, Gav. How are you, sir?
Please don't ask. Please, I've had a week from hell, mate. Also joining us, as he does normally, is Wazza.
Hello, mate. How we doing? You all right?
Yeah, all good, mate. You?
Yeah, so, mate. I thought we'd be back down the Arsenal by now, but it's gone the other way, isn't it? And we're sitting in the pub.
Oh, don't. Yeah, no, exactly. It's. I think the least we talk about what's going on in the world and hopefully take everybody's minds off it for a little bit, the better, really. Like I say, we have been doing these sort of tactical pods and breaking down moments in play and breaking down formations for people for, I think it's, what is that, fourth or fifth one, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's about
something like that, isn't it? Well, like I say, today what we're going to go through a little bit about Partey, really. So, I mean, I'm going to throw my hands up. The only time I've probably seen him is when he played against us. And, you know, you watch all the YouTube clips, etc., etc. But I know, Mike, you've sort of watched him a fair bit and you're sort of breaking down where you think he's going to fit into the team, yeah?
Yeah. I've watched him, of course, like everybody else. I've watched him in the Champions League when Arsenal were in the Champions League, and of course, I've watched him. In fact, that was the first time I ever saw him. He was playing right back I think against Arsenal, in actual fact, many years ago. But I still watch the Champions League, even though we're not in it. And I love watching Simeone's team because it's such a tactical game. And as a coach, I just love to watch what he's doing and how he's doing it. And my view of Thomas Partey, before he signed for Arsenal, we've just gone and got lucky, is that he is one of the best all-round midfielders in world football. And I think that that's just about to be discovered. And I say that because Simeone, for the most part, had him in a cage somewhat as a defensive midfielder. And I think we all know that Atletico Madrid play with a very, very set structure, regardless of 4-4-2. And they have a very defensive style with counter-attacking option on the break, and they've had that for many years. And I think that that's about to change for Thomas Partey. In fact, I've got a suspicion that one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, that Arsenal have been lucky enough to get him is because he was probably looking at his career coming to his prime and thinking, you know, when I play for my national team, and by the way, I watched Ghana play twice in this last week, he plays completely differently, or he's allowed to play completely differently than he has for Atletico Madrid. And I'm telling you, I don't want to get too overexcited, but he has everything a midfielder should have, or you'd want them to have. He's athletic. He's a line-breaking player on the dribble. His ball progression stats on the dribble are some of the best in Europe, even though Simeone rarely lets him do it. His passing range is unbelievable. His ability to intercept and his positioning is arguably his best quality. And so you've got this 3-in-1 player, and I wrote about it last week. I think what Arsenal fans are going to feel like when they watch him, there'll be two things that will happen. They'll realise how it'll almost position the other players that we've got, Xhaka, Ceballos, and you'll realise how good they really are when you see better. And you'll also wish when you decide, okay, so we need to upgrade maybe on, let's say, on Neni or Xhaka, and you'll wish that you could get a duplicate of Thomas Partey, because when he plays, as I think he's going to play as a box-to-box midfielder, you're also going to wish that he was your defensive midfielder, because he's exceptional at that as well. So I think Arsenal have got the closest thing that they'll probably ever have to Patrick Vieira, who I don't want to make that comparison and say he's as good as Vieira, but I will say Vieira had the same skill set. He could destroy, he could create with passing on the dribble. Thomas Partey scores from long range, he scores from close range, just like Vieira. And so you've got a similar profile of player. So I'm interested more than that to listen to what Was is thinking on Partey.
Yeah, I mean, it is really, really exciting. It seems like a turn the corner signing. I think people are, like you said, are not quite aware fully of how big a player this guy is. I mean, you've explained it brilliantly there. He really is a jack of all trades, and he's exceptional at all of them. And a couple of things you mentioned there, I mean, he's dribbling. There was only, in the whole of Europe's top 5 leagues, only one player who had completed more than 50 dribbles, done it with a higher success rate than Thomas Partey, and that was Thiago Alcantara. And that aside, all the things you talked about will transform Arsenal's midfield. And as you said, progressively, you're talking about Fabano. I mean, I think he's in double figures goals in 27 appearances for them. And he's a completely different player there. So defensively, I mean, he's got these, like you mentioned, Vieira, it's like the go-go gadget legs. You know, where the leg just comes from nowhere and steals the ball back. And he's just one of them players. His physical profile is incredible. But for me, from what I've seen and what I've watched of him, the one thing that stands out more than anything to me is his intelligence. His intelligence on the ball, his intelligence off the ball. He knows where to be. Like you picked up on, he's been drilled with Simeone in that way, but he's also got freedom to his game where he can express himself, and he's really such a dynamic footballer, and it opens all sorts of avenues for the way we can use him and the way we can perform with him. But him as a player, he really can adapt and do anything you want him to do. It's just how we think and how you think Arteta will get the best out of him.
I mean, it's also about the best. It's not just about where he fits in; it's about who fits in around him. The only thing that I've got from looking at his stats is he picks up a few yellow cards, doesn't he? And if he's picking up a few yellow cards in Spain, that's going to be a few red cards over here, isn't it? Let's be honest.
He'll be all right, mate. He'll be all right. We had, to be fair, when you look at someone like Granit Xhaka, when he initially come in, he was getting booked for fun, and I mean, he hasn't been sent off in over 2.5 years now in the league. So, I mean, Thomas Partey, it's not something I worry about. Patrick Vieira used to get booked week out. It really does not matter much. I know you'll get the odd occasion where he might get a red or he'll lose it, but do you know what? You need that grit, you need that determination, you need that powerful player in there, that presence that people look at and think. I mean, you look at all the best Arsenal teams. You used to stand next to them in the tunnel and look at them and think, yeah, I'm scared of them. I'm genuinely, we're going into battle here, and now we're gradually building this side with different characters, different abilities, and the physical profile of the team is going up and up. We've changed the profile of the centre backs, bring in someone like Gabriel, who's strong, quick, aggressive. Then you've got also Saliba coming up, and then right through the spine of the team, we're going to move away from this sort of language style. And you heard Evra talking about it the other day when he was saying, yeah, I used to say Arsenal were girls and I'd like to play against them, and he said, I don't think that anymore. I look at them now and I don't think that. And I think Thomas Partey is a huge part of that process, moving into sort of a more aggressive, more dynamic, more physical,
taller.
Taller, exactly, mate. All the profiles, 6'1". I mean, built like a brick house. He will run through people, but he's also got the touch and the skill of a cultured midfielder, and I think these kind of players are very, very rare. And like Mike mentioned, actually, box to box, it's a dying breed, but he is one of the elite, and it really is a shame that it's a dying breed, because it's such a tough position to play in football. But if you've got someone who can do it well, it changes everything.
Yeah, Mike. So same for yourself, mate. You're not too bothered about his yellow card record in Spain.
No, well, your point is, my antennas went up when you said that, and I wouldn't say it doesn't worry me, because the referees in the Premier League referee differently, so he is going to have to adapt to that. But Patrick Vieira got, as was said, yellow cards most every week, and he got a lot of red cards over the time. Would we have substituted Patrick Vieira for somebody else because of that? Absolutely not. And you just have to accept that if that is the case, and if he is an over-aggressive player, he's going to have to just adapt. And I think it won't matter, because I think, again, I'm just going to be like a commercial for Thomas Partey. I think what people will feel like when they watch him play is they wish that our other players were as good as he was, and that we could Xerox him and put him in all the midfield positions. And so I don't think that'll be the focus, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I mean, obviously, we're all aware that, you know, I mean, what our players get red cards and bookings for, other players don't seem to, which bugs me. I mean, like I say, I'm excited because everybody's excited. Do you know what I mean, he looks like he's got the profile. He looks like he's got the fitting ability. Do you think he's going to be straight in the team against Man City, Mike, or do you think he's going to start on the bench?
I wasn't sure until the press conference with Arteta, and normally he never gives you straight answers, but normally he gives you clues. And I think he previously, when he was asked about Saliba and Gabriel, if you look back on his press conferences, it makes sense what he said, and he actually gave you a clue as to whether he was going to play him or not. With Partey, he didn't say anything negative about it. And I think he will start. And I think it will be as simple as Arteta probably asking him if he wants to play, because he might not have played in the Premier League before, but he's played in the Champions League, and he's played Manchester City, and he's played Liverpool, and he's played at these grounds, and he's played in England before. And, you know, if we were playing maybe against, I don't know, Aston Villa or somebody like that, Sheffield United, we might say, okay, well, we should be okay without you. But, you know, if we're playing Manchester City and we want to win, and he is a transformative player, in my opinion, and so it's almost like that. I feel like we can't not start him, because I think it would be a deep regret if he came off the bench and it was all too late. So I think he'll start, and I'm not sure if we'll go to the formation that I think we will see in time straight away. That's another conversation. I'm sure you're going to ask that one, but I do think he'll start. Yeah.
Yeah, was. I mean, it's obviously done him a bit of a favour, the fact that he was there. He's been at Arsenal now for 2 or 3 days now, I believe. So he's had a little bit of a head start on the others that are probably still just getting back from the international break, probably a rest day and a training day today and back in full training tomorrow. So he's probably had a couple of days of one-to-ones with Arteta, do you reckon?
Mate, this geezer, I honestly reckon he could get off the plane, walk up to the ground and start. He's that good. Don't worry about training and all that nonsense. All he have to speak is the football language, and he will be straight in that side, and people will look up to him, and he will transform things. And we're looking at a squad now with people like Tierney, people like Gabriel. We're looking at them saying, yeah, we're improving, we're going forward, and Partey is just a phenomenal signing. And I definitely think he'll start. I'll be very shocked if he doesn't start. I'll be disappointed. I just think he's the kind of player, mate, that could play against the side bottom of the league and break the lines and run into the box and score from deep against the deep set thing. And he's another player that could, where we sat back against Man City, he can sit in, win back possession, spray the long balls, play progressively. He's equally as important, whatever the opponent. And the adaptability of him is going to be immense. And like Mike keeps alluding to, when people watch him play, they're going to be absolutely in awe of what we've got here. And I just really hope he hits the ground running. And Arsenal, by the way, going to City, we've got nothing to be afraid of. Nothing to be afraid of. We've proved that we can do it, and now we've only got better with our personnel.
Yeah, well, there is the rumour that De Bruyne's out injured as well, which will do us a big favour as well, if that's true. But you never know with Man City. They pull a hamstring on a Monday and the fella's fit again by the Friday for some miracle reason. Was the formation against Man City, are you inclined with Mike, and there's sort of not going to be much change, so we're probably going to be looking at possibly a 2 or a 3 in midfield?
Yeah, I think it will be a very similar blueprint to the one we saw at Wembley, to be honest with you. I don't see a reason for Arteta to change away from that, and I think long term, I think we can all see and understand that he will want to move to a 4 at the back, and how he's changing the profile of the squad, it will happen, and it will happen very soon, because we've seen it in glimpses. But for now, and this game especially, it's nice to have the different types of ways of playing, which we, in previous years, as much as Arsene Wenger was God for us towards the end of his reign, we didn't see any difference. It was just 4-2-3-1, week in, week out, whatever the opposition. This is the way we're going to play, and sometimes You need that sort of change and adaptability. So we need to go to Man City again. We need to be very compact like we were at Wembley. We need to win our individual duels, and then we need to spring on the counter and break in devastating fashion. And we can do that, mate. We really can do that now. And Arteta makes us believe that. He makes the players believe that. And I think someone like Thomas Partey coming into that squad at the moment, the group are going to be buzzing. It's just really going to be a good place to be. And let's see if they can translate it onto the pitch.
Yeah, no, fair well, Mike. So, as it stands at the moment for the weekend, which midfielder is going to be sort of missing out, really? And who do you think is going to sort of join him in the middle of the park?
Well, I do think that we'll probably stick with the same formation, only because he's only had, like you said, Gav, about a day and a half to do anything with them. And if you're going to add a new player in there, then it complicates it. Part of me thinks, Partey's used to playing a certain way, and so he's played a 4-4-2 and he's played in a 4-3-3. So you could, as he's 27 years of age and he's played for a highly tactical coach, you can almost tell him, hey, this is what we're doing, and he'll probably be able to adapt straight away because he's done he's played for so many tactical coaches. But I do think that the issue isn't as much Thomas Partey. I think it's just the other players. I think if you change formation now with very little practice, then I'm not sure that the other players will be able to adapt. So forget about Thomas Partey for a minute. I personally would like Dani Ceballos to play because I think he's deserved it recently. But I do wonder if the whole Granit Xhaka sitting on the bench thing is going to be done a little more gradually, and that Xhaka will start in the 2 with Thomas Partey, and we'll see Ceballos come off the bench. Not what I would do. I've got my own little cheeky idea, but so yeah.
Yeah, no, it's awkward. I mean, part of me thinks that really, obviously, we do need sort of the 3 in the middle, really. Because, like I say, I mean, it's almost like the Maitland-Niles scenario where he's covering, the 2 positions. I think hopefully that can sort of be eradicated really and improved upon. It's a bit tricky though, I'd like personally to see Xhaka, Partey, and Ceballos at some stage as a middle 3. How can you see that ever panning out?
Yeah, it's a possibility, mate. Definitely. I think with regards to looking at the 2, I think for Mikel Arteta, the balance is imperative, and that left foot right foot combination is huge. If you remember that first time back when we played at Man City, and Pablo Mari and Granit Xhaka both went off injured in the first sort of 20 minutes, and it just killed us. It absolutely killed us because we lost all balance. We had no left side, no left footers, and Thomas Partey is going to be sat in there on that right hand side of the midfield, whether it's in a 2 or a 3. And I just think that Granit Xhaka provides the best balance. He's going to be less exposed. We're going to be more compact, and it's only going to improve him as a player and improve us as a team. Now, with regards to Ceballos, he's kind of a player at the moment. We're crying out to find out what is his niche. Where does he belong on the pitch? Because he doesn't really excel in any area, and I'd like to see him. I've seen him a lot for sort of the Spain under-21s and coming through the ranks and that. He can hit a ball and he can play sort of in that final third, and it'd be interesting to see him sort of in a 3, pushed ahead, sort of in that role that Willian played against Sheffield United, and just see how he performs, because that certainly could be a role for him. But there's so many options. But I do think for the City game, he will go Xhaka Partey, left foot, right foot, solid base in there, 2 big guys, deep block, and then we've got the ability for both of them just to pick the ball and spring and play long. And also Partey can obviously travel distances with the ball as well, so it will make a big difference.
Gav, can I just chime in on what was said there just for a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. When was talking about Xhaka, I like what he said about Xhaka playing, at least I think this is what he was saying, playing on the left side of a 3. And so, I'm visualizing 2 things happening. So you've got whether it's Dani Ceballos playing in the middle or El Neni or whoever, I'm not sure. But let's just talk about Xhaka and Partey. If you've got those 2 guys playing either side of somewhere else, then you've got an unlocked Aubameyang and Pepe, because you ideally as a coach want to put your players in their best position to use their best skill. To me, Granit Xhaka's number 1 best quality is that ball over the top, that weighted ball that he played so well to Aubameyang. Well, if you take him out of defensive midfield, he's not going to get pressed in quite the same way. So that takes the negative away. You move him up and you push him to the left slightly. He's closer to Aubameyang, and he has the freedom to play that ball over the top that Arsenal play anyway. And that's almost like our number one way of attacking. But normally, Xhaka has to play it from 15 yards deeper and centrally. The other thing is, Thomas Partey, and if you'd have seen his clips against Ghana, for Ghana in the week, he got an assist, which is a regular assist for him, which is picking up that ball in that right area of the central midfield and dinking a weighted ball over the top of the centre-back's head. And so you've got Partey in his element, Xhaka in his element. I'm not sure whether the Danny Ceballos experimented defensive midfield in my head, even though he's improved a whole lot as a defender, the defensive side of his game would work. But I'd love to see Xhaka and Partey playing in a three either side of somebody, because I think it unlocks those balls to, and then to Pepe would be the one that you'd want running onto that rather than Willian, in my head anyway.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, like I say, we're talking mainly about sort of with the Man City game in mind, but I mean, obviously, pardon me, we've got to bear in mind really what we're going to be doing against the middle and the lower tier teams when we play against them, because Arteta's kind of we've had a good spell, haven't we? We've had a good spell against the top teams. We've beaten Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea, etc. I mean, we've done all right there, but it seems our problem really has been a little bit of more creativity. When we're playing the ones at the bottom. So whilst we're talking about Xhaka and Partey sort of maybe midfield two against those sort of games, when it comes up that we're playing the bottom of the league sort of teams, where does Partey fit in there? Does he fit in there more? Would you like to see him more sort of advanced, perhaps sort of like really what Ramsey used to do for us?
Well, Aaron Ramsey's the name on the end of my tongue as well, to be honest with you, mate, because against these sides that will come to them, set up shop, sit back and sit deep, it's very easy to pass the ball left and right and sideways against them. And if you remember the goal the other week, we were crying out for a midfielder to make a third man run. And finally, El Neni finally done it. He made one in the whole match, but when he done it, we scored. And Thomas Partey he can do it for fun, and that's what Ramsey used to do time and time and time and time again. You might lose some defensive stability with a player like Aaron Ramsey, but he can get you that final third, break the deep block, and he can score the goal. But Thomas Partey can do both, and that's what I was saying earlier. We haven't got to sort of bracket this player into what is he or what ain't he. He is whatever he wants to be, and he's a serious footballer. So I think long term, we will go back to sort of a 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, and the big word you picked up on is creativity, and we tried to address that with Houssem Aouar. The deal didn't go over the line, and in my head, I think 1,000,000% in January we'll be back in for a creative midfielder, and until then, 2 months we're going to have to get by, and hopefully we can pick up the results. But Arteta knows he needs to add that additional top-class creative midfielder, because if you end up having a midfield three of Xhaka, Partey, or whoever, it's serious. That is serious, And then you're looking at the speed and the aggression and the pace in our final third, and then our fullbacks. Mate, we're a proper team out there. We're a proper team now, and it's just we've got to try and look at it as a process where we're heading rather than overnight success, because Arteta's in it for the long haul, and it just feels so different to the Emery era. Obviously, we had an initial burst, 20-odd games unbeaten, but it was never heading anywhere. But the player recruitment, the way we're adapting to games, like you said, the results against big teams, we're on a different path here, and Thomas Partey signifies that more than anything.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, to Ceballos, who I actually like the fella. Do you know what I mean? I think he's adapted well. He's fitted in well. He says the right things and acts. He's doing what you want to see with a player. He's showing that he's putting 100% in. Do you know what I mean? Which is what I want to see. Do you know what I mean? Don't matter whether you're the most talented or the least talented. If I see a player putting 100% in, that's what I like. But some of the games he's almost dropped back and he's almost like to use an Americanism. He's almost playing like the quarterback.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him be further up. I'd like to literally see him getting the ball, sort of. If we're breaking, for instance, if we're playing out from the back, I want to see him getting the ball in the centre circle, and then him looking to diagonal balls or straight ball for a midfielder running past him. That's where I think Ceballos sort of actually kind of fits in nicely. Do you?
Yeah, I can see him doing that. He doesn't quite have the athleticism that someone like Thomas Partey would. I could see Danny Ceballos. In fact, Danny Ceballos is almost, and I think we'll see this, has a similar-ish profile to someone like Thomas Partey. In fact, that he's able to play defensive midfield and he's very comfortable on the ball. He's improved his defensive game, so now we see a significantly better defensive effort and intelligence and positioning. So, okay, let's say that he can do that. He also likes to progress the ball on the dribble. And back in Spain, Danny Ceballos used to shoot more. So I think you'll find that Danny Ceballos can do all of these things much like Thomas Partey can. He's just not at the same level to do it and to pull it off in the Premier League. And so I do wonder if Thomas Partey really is going to be a box-to-box midfielder, and we want to eradicate teams pressing Granit Xhaka, which I think is Arsenal's number one biggest problem right now, is how do you get Xhaka into the team if you want to get him in the team, but don't put the team in jeopardy because he's been surrounded by 2 or 3 players when they're playing out from the back. And then Ceballos has been the most in form of the lot of them. So I think in a perfect world, Gav, we would have signed another athletic midfielder. I know everyone wants a creative midfielder, and we need that too, but a true defensive midfield with athleticism, so that someone like Danny Ceballos can play higher with Thomas Partey, and you release them to play with a bit more attacking freedom because they feel secure about the guy. The guy I like is Axel Witsel at Dortmund, but if you had somebody like him back there, you'd feel more secure to go play your attacking game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. I felt that. We're going back to peak Patrick Vieira, and it's very, very unfair to me making any comparisons at this stage. Do you know what I mean? But I always felt that the partnership he had with Partey was the best partnership that he had on the pitch. By means of Vieira would do his box-to-box thing, and Partey would almost sort of clear up behind him. At the moment, that would be, as much as Mick in the chat on Facebook doesn't like Xhaka, that is Xhaka, isn't it? He's almost going to be like the one who's clearing up behind him.
Yeah. Thing is, Petit, and also you mentioned to Gilberto as well, the invisible wall himself.
Just different quality. But I thought Vieira played his best football with Petit.
Yeah. And what you. I think the thing with Granit Xhaka is we can all see his limitations and his issues, but what he does do well, he does brilliantly. And what you need to understand is try and forget all the rubbish stuff, which is hard to do. But when you're in a balanced team with a set system, with athleticism around him, and you simplify his game and tell him he ain't covering 40-yard spaces. He's standing on the left side of midfield. He's coming across. He's sitting in, and when he gets the ball, he plays the ball progressively. And playing ball, passes into the final third. He's top 3 in the league every year with numbers of passes into the final third. That's what he's good at. And he can sit in there, just reduce the distances, which Arteta has done. And we've seen a lot of games where he's been important in these big games, and he's doing quite a little job at the moment. But it's very easy to associate the Granit Xhaka that we've seen being outpaced, making clumsy fouls all over the shop. That's in a different era, mate. That's under different managers in different scenarios. It's nice now to watch him. He's making a lot less mistakes. I'm saying this before we play Man City at the weekend. It is the kind of thing I'm enjoying seeing, because his distances are a lot shorter and he's getting the ball, moving the ball, and it was almost a huge reliance on him. We've always looked for that Vieira type player, and people look at Xhaka and think, yeah, he's nowhere near, but he's a different type of footballer. And he's sort of like you've got Rodri at Man City. Through the years, you've got people like Matic and people like that. They're not as mobile, but what they do is an important job, an important role. Fabinho at Liverpool, they're very similar sort of player. Even someone like Jorginho at Chelsea, he's not athletic at all. He's not great, but what he does do is so important. but you get the players alongside him and around him, and it improves everyone. So I understand why people wouldn't want Xhaka in there, and they do think we can improve on him. But for now, I don't think Xhaka is anywhere near as bad as people suggest, and I think we will see a lot better Granit Xhaka alongside Thomas Partey.
Yeah, no, fair one. All right, well, before we wrap it up, should we go for a little prediction for Man City?
Yeah, let's do it.
Go on, after you, Mike. You can go first.
All right. I think that I was just looking at the chat and I saw Rohan was commenting about Partey being perfect for the low block because he can play the balls over the top. And I can just imagine that. And so I'm going to say that Arsenal will win the game 2-0 because I think times are shifting and I think the energy behind this signing, and I think Arteta will pull a surprise or two, whether it's tactically or strategically. And I see Pep doesn't seem to be in the same emotional space that I've seen him before, and I think that Arsenal would have done a better job at the Etihad last year if we wouldn't have had a man sent off and a man injured. So I think people are probably getting upset or afraid prematurely. I think Arsenal will win 2-0.
Mike? Sorry, was?
Mate,
it's been a long day, mate.
I'll tell you what, mate. If that happens, Mike, I'll be over the moon, mate.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the game. I think what is nice is that we're going into these big games now thinking, you know what, there's an opportunity that we'll turn up. We won't disgrace ourselves here, certainly not. And I think what's happening now is we're getting back into a stage where in these big games, it's moments. Moments make the games, not we can't look back and say, oh, we were tactically awful, we were a shambles. It's now moments. And even when we played City, we won that too. That save from Martinez, from Mahrez at the near post, that was a game-changing moment. It really was a game. So there's going to be, Leno's going to have to be on top form. He's going to have to make some saves. But I mean, I tell you what, with our front three, and you can spring on that counter. We can upset any team in the world at the moment. With Aubameyang, Pepe, the pace is just frightening. And I do fancy us. And if we can stay compact, stay neat, Thomas Partey makes a green debut. We're in there, and yeah, I do think we will concede because David Luiz will play, and he's an absolute nut job. But apart from that, I'm hoping for a 2-1, mate. I'd love, but to be fair, mate, I want us to go out and put a good performance in because these aren't the games that are going to make or break our season. You know, I always think at the level we're at now, if you beat the big teams at home and you lose away, then say la vie. It don't matter. Do you know what I mean? You've gained no points, you've lost no points. If you beat everyone else, you're going to finish top 4. Simple as that. So if you're challenging for the title, these games are big. Like you can't lose. But it's all part of a process, and I just want us to go there, make a good account of ourselves, and hopefully we can get a result.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I think everything is so positive at the moment, and for the games that we've played against Man City with Arteta, he's, like I say, apart from the one where we had the sending off, which didn't obviously help us, I think he's almost got their number. I mean, nobody's going to know how to play against Man City better than Arteta. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, again, with Mick, who's commented on the Facebook page, he reckons we're going to win 3-1. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind a couple of quid on that, to be fair. I mean, if we can get good odds on a 3-1 win, I think I might chuck my couple of quid, chuck my £2 wages on that this week. But yeah, like I say, you are right. It is the process that you've got to look at, and we've got to be looking at putting on a good show. And it's always a bit worrying after the absolutely ridiculous international pointless break that we've had. I don't even know what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? No idea why there was even an international break, and no idea what competition they're playing in. But it all depends on how the players come back from there. Eddie done all right, didn't he, on the international break as well? So, and I don't think there's been any injuries, has there, Mike? You'll probably know better than me.
Well, apparently Tierney was exposed, and he might not be able to play. But interestingly, the guy he was exposed to, who had coronavirus, is probably going to play this weekend, and Tierney won't. On the Manchester City side, they've allegedly got all kinds of issues, including Ruben Diaz, Bernardo Silva, and there's somebody else I'm missing who was exposed to Cristiano Ronaldo. But again, I think City will find a way to get around that one. I think they have already. And then you've got Aguero and Jesus. Are they going to play De Bruyne as the big one? So, yeah.
It could be one of those. Anyway, gents, let's wrap this up. It's been lovely talking to you again. We're going to have to do this again soon. And, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Up
Just
the
quickly,
bloody Arsenal.
40 to 1, by the way. 40 to 1, 3-1.
3-1. All right, I'm going to have £2.50 on that, mate. And if it wins, I'll buy you a beer.
That's what the odds are.
Oh, I'm all in on that. My £2 wages are going on that this week, I think, mate. Get on it as well, Mike. Get on it.
I'm on it.
Lovely.
Shit.